Welcome back to Knee Health Challenge. It's our last day, week 4, day 30. Today we're going to go over a few different things. I'm going to save a few small hints for those that have been consistent with us. So today's going to be really important and very valuable video and tool for you moving forward. So I'm going to do a little bit of a recap. If you stay consistent and even learned or watch the videos with minimal work and effort, you should still notice improvement in terms of how you look at your body, in terms of how you can train some of the tissues. And it's not a quick fix with any of that. There's a lot of small chemical processes and processes involved with that, from a very finite and molecule level all the way up to more of a macro level. So when we look at this and how you rehab a region of your body, you have to look above the area and below the area in terms of how the muscles and structures function together, especially when you add in terms of human settings or your everyday life, if we will. So looking back at that, there's muscles that attach from the hip and then attach below the knee, on the inside, the outside. We turn the body around a little bit. Same thing with the calves coming up, attaching above, the hamstrings attaching below. Like, there is a lot of deep and superficial structures that have a huge function and are pretty much adapted into allowing us to move and where we're at in our genome, in our life cycle as humans. So just by knowing certain properties and how we can train and improve will serve us very well moving forward, not just for the knees, but for the elbows, shoulders, hips, spine, everything else moving forward from here. And in certain months, we're going to go over different areas and different challenges with this. So I'm going to go through and show you how I put together the challenge, so you know my brain process, and then you can implement that in your everyday life. As long as you're moving, the tissues will be adapting. But if you don't target certain tissues, the body will negate the fact that just even maintain them. So whatever you use, you gain, and whatever you don't use, you lose. It's just how the body works, and that's a broad term scope. But that's really, really important in how you are able to maintain and improve your body and its functions moving forward. So how I went through this and my thought process moving forward, you got to know what your goals are and why we even want to do this. So we started off week 1, day 1, on the why, in terms of why do we even want to be able to rehab our knees. For most people, it's pain. The others is for function, performance, but through this process, each person has a little bit different outcome in what they want to be able to do. And that bled into what are the structures involved, top down, bottom up, inside to outside. Then we went into habits, future goals, and then we went into practicing the ranges of motion until failure. So it's kind of like going back to the assessment portion in terms of what we wanted to accomplish and doing those until failure. And the reason why we do until failure is because it's specific to each person, and you can monitor and maintain that time or that distance for each person. It can be very individualized, but once you send one signal to the body that it can't do certain movements, or it was really, really tough, or you felt a good muscle burn, the body's going to send resources to the area to improve, to rehab, to heal those tissues so they can build up stronger. It's pretty much saying that you need this, so the body sends resources so you can go through that. That's kind of how the body works. And then as we went through, you had to understand how the nervous system communicated with one another in terms of the deeper structures of the joint capsules, of tendons and ligaments. Those are mostly rotational structures, which if you don't target the deeper structure first, everything overlying it could be guarding, and then you're going to lose track of what target you want to even go into. And that's where a lot of practitioners themselves are losing focus. Then we went through in terms of knee workspace, moving the knees to the biggest range of motion. This knee workspace, as you extended your leg, turn in, bent, turn out, straighten, and go in a circle. The same thing is true to maintain your joints. Now, if you push that in range of motion to where you can't turn, or that line of tightness, you stay around there, that is how you're able to improve the joint capacity and training of joints itself. You can add weight onto that. And there's a bunch of other small things with that as well. And then more importantly, we finished out the week with the assessments. What are the goals? How do you stay on top of that? For us, I made it every week because it's really important to understand the concept. In terms of an everyday life or training, maybe making that every other week or once a month could also be really important, especially if you have a lot of things going on. Then as we move into week 2, now this is where we want to look either top down or bottom up and target those structures. So for the knees, that would be the hips, pelvis, and then the ankles, feet, and then work together in terms of how the tissues are combining to the function of the knee. So let's say you have hip problems. How do you look at the hip? You have to look bottom up. So that's going to be foot, knee, lower back, spine, rib cage, and how that affects the function of the hips. So again, we'll get into that in months coming. But that's just something that if you have an injury, if you need to heal something, you have to look at different structures around the area. Now, let's go another step further, targeting the deeper structures first, kind of like I already stated, opposed to the superficial ones. So you usually want to start with rotational movement, low intensity, lightweight first, get the movement, get the connection of your mind to the movement and those tissues involved. Obviously, you don't want to move into pain right away, but especially sharp pain. But as the time progresses, you get to notice your body. There's going to be areas to where you can push that level just a tad and then work on the healing of those structures from there. Because with any injury, it's almost a mathematical equation to where the tissues or structures weren't able to absorb force or dissipate force depending on position of gravity and other external factors. So that is really, really important. So as we went top down, bottom up, we looked at some of the tissues in a sagittal plane. So structures come from front to back. There's also some in terms of rotation, because as we start, like I said, we want to attack the rotational tissues first, but just giving you a good sense on that. And then we went in terms of above and below the area of week 3 and a frontal plane. So it was more side to side movement. You can kind of see where my brain's going at this. You can kind of pick apart each week, or for your training protocol moving forward, every month for that matter. And then as we go into week 4, that's where, for me, I wanted you to know how you can apply this long term and not just on a monthly challenge. Like, we can have you go through a process, but you have to learn something. You have to be able to incorporate that into your everyday life and your understanding of how the body functions and rehabs and maintains. And if you don't understand that, then what's the point of going through this process, other than it's kind of fun and you want to challenge yourself, which is awesome, but we have to be smarter, play smarter with this, not work hard for the sake of working hard. So as we went through all that, I kind of put together everything time-stamped, YouTube. So if you want to create something like this for your friends, family, whether it's for knee health or whether it's for event planning or whatever with that, you can take a UR code that you get from posting on YouTube and just upload that as a link there. You can schedule things out. I started with broad ideas and then went more specific depending on the day on that one. So as you can see, there's a little bit of work. There's a little bit of planning into this. You have to set time aside. If some people want to know how I do this, I've been asked by a few patients and staff members, and it's usually you have to make time. If there's something that's really important to you, for me, I felt like this message, this challenge was important for people of our community and for the nation, for that matter, and the world to understand certain principles and how you can apply those. So I'd highly suggest, if you have any injuries, to look at the areas above and below and how that's affecting your performance. You can all go back to the outcome measures. Where are you limited in terms of turning your foot inwards or outwards, internal, external rotation? How far your knee can go over your toes? How well you can straighten your leg or bend the knee. Those all play a factor in terms of if you have a lacking in certain areas, you want to target those exact areas and planes of movement in order to improve them moving forward. Um, One generic exercise of squats, deadlifts will increase the intensity and neural drive of your body, and then you can apply those to the tissues, muscles, tendons, ligaments, what have you with that. So I hope you guys learned something from that and the whole month's challenge. There will be more challenges moving forward, but please leave any comments, questions, concerns you have down below. Share these videos with friends, family that may need certain exercises, stretches, or something that you found fascinating. I know it'd help us, but more importantly, it would help you and your community around yourself. So I want to thank you for your time, your consistency, your drive for learning and knowing more. Look to see you guys on the next challenge. Take care.